horror content. Something that is strewn across nearly every social media platform ever. We cannot look away, we cannot fathom these things to be real, but here they are, evidence of the paranormal. Or lack of evidence thereof. There's this saying that goes around online that's pretty much like, don't believe everything you read on the internet. Well, that applies for what you see on the internet as well. I'm a videographer, and I've actually tried recreating some of these videos using different video techniques, just with what I have. And as the years have gone by and Nuke's Top 5 has progressively gotten worse, I've decided that it's time to show people the techniques and the video editing skills that are required to create these ghost videos. And plot twist, they're not that complex. If you're not too experienced with video editing or anything like that, don't worry, I will go in depth and I will respond to any questions in the comments. Here we go. In this video, we'll be covering ghost content and mimic/skinwalker content. Aspects of a scary video that you want are visual effects, sound design, and acting/story. These are all the factors that we're going to be covering in today's video. First off, we have ghosts. And ghosts are one of the most quintessential creatures or antagonists of scary content for years. Obviously, there's ghost stories that you would tell around a campfire, and it has evolved into this brand of horror content where people capture videos of supposed ghosts on camera. However, there are many interesting techniques that they use to portray these supernatural beings. Our first type of shot is called a locked-off shot, and locked-off shots are essentially just on tripods. Now, when it comes to showing a ghost on a locked-off shot, it becomes very easy, because I can take a basic open frame and then record a video of me doing whatever, acting as this ghost, and then I can just smash the two together and make this kind of translucent version of me that can walk around and do whatever I please. Another technique similar to this is called masking. Masking is essentially like taking pieces out of a newspaper and just putting them all together to create one image. You can take certain pieces of video using a mask to put together any image that you want. This will be very helpful for us because of this next example. I can make this box look like it's magically being pushed over by some creepy entity, when in fact it's literally just me, but I've just masked out my hand and I'm just pushing the box over. Locked-off shots are great because you have a lot of room to work with, because you can kind of just mask whatever you want. I mean, I could make it look like there's some thing that's just by my bed, staring at me creepily or something. And I've seen a lot of locked-off shots being excused as CCTV with this really crappy just overlay over top of it. Don't do this. This will make your footage look horrible. Either get an actual CCTV camera or just find a different story for why you're recording. That is a huge thing, and it's also huge with found footage. And essentially what you're doing is you're making a found footage, but you're making it in such a way that you can put it on social media and people will think it's real. Something else I have to say about locked-off shots is please watch for shadows, especially when you're masking. If you do it wrong, you can make something look like an effect that could have been really cool. You could make it look like absolute crap. When not using locked-off shots, that means you won't be able to create your own ghost using just yourself. So you'll need another actor for this. And my suggestion would be to disguise your ghost. A ghost can be able to move around, go through walls, etc., be able to hide itself completely. So in order to disguise your actor, here are some transitions that can help you completely change a shot without the audience even knowing. I have this shot right here. And I can completely transition that with this shot. This is called a match cut. A match cut is where you use similar colors or a similar texture to transition between two different shots. And this is actually used a lot in movies, such as 1917. Another great transition is called the whip pan. Whip pans are where you can whip the camera and create a bunch of motion blur. And within the time that the frame is just complete blur, you can take another shot where you whip the camera and it could be to a completely different thing. And you could cut it there and your eyes won't even notice that the shot has transitioned. I would recommend using scratching sounds, whispers, voices, which are all easily done. Whenever you record them, keep in mind the distance in which you're recording them.
Let me out.
The downside about using audio is that it's one of the most easily debunked ghost videos.
I hear this terrifying sound coming from my closet. Let me out.
Ooh, so scary. Now, sets are what bring your story together, and they are honestly what complete what I call the ghost content archetypes. Here are some examples. The haunting is when someone's house becomes haunted or the paranormal activity becomes more active. The haunted house is a situation where someone explores / babysits / works at a haunted house. The object is where someone goes somewhere and brings an object with them that ends up having a ghost attachment. So according to ghost experts, there are multiple different types of ghosts. There are souls of the past people that existed, and sometimes it's purgatory for them, so they can kind of just do whatever they want. And then there's other ghosts called residual hauntings, and those are just remnants of spirits, and they're stuck in this time loop doing the same thing from their past over and over and over again, but they're not conscious because it's just like a part of them that's just hasn't moved on yet. And I think that's an interesting concept. Then there are demons, which are just straight up malicious beings that normally it's involved with Ouija boards, that they normally use Ouija boards to like manipulate their prey and get them to turn to the devil or something, I don't know. And then there's poltergeists, which are literally just straight up chaotic evil, like they just exist for violence, which is a vibe. And then on the official website, there's other classifications such of like ghosts, such as like ectoplasms, which is just another word for apparition. There's funnel ghosts, which is like a flash of light or like a streak of light. And then there's orbs. And don't even get me started on orbs. Orbs just, they bother me. They are essentially just the real world version of orbs. It's literally just dust. On cameras, especially at nighttime, there's limited visibility, but it sends out a certain amount of light, especially for like night vision cameras. It sends out this certain light that will catch like essentially anything it can, and so it catches dust. And so this dust that's captured is glowing because there's this light that's being sent out so it can see in the dark, and people think it's orbs that are like floating around because they're like this spiritual presence or something. And so that's a lot of ghost videos. It's just orbs, and it's very annoying to me because it's just dust. I'm actually gonna cry, believe it or not. So I think that acting is one of the things that can actually make or break a good ghost film. And it's all about the shtick. So if you look at Blair Witch, I think that's a great example of just good acting. Not much actually happens in Blair Witch. It's just them kind of running around in the forest, acting scared. But the thing is, the actors doing a phenomenal job, partly because they were actually method acting. The director would actually he wouldn't tell them very much, but he, would just put them out in the woods in a tent and then wake them up and just say, here's a camera, act very scared. And then they would just hear random noises in the forest because, they would have someone that was told, make random noises, try to scare these people in the middle of the night. And it worked. But an important part about getting a good shtick for the acting is you have to find that in between. There are two ends of the spectrum. There's acting super scared and acting super jokey. These two ends of the spectrum will always just destroy your film. If a character is acting too jokey or super scared, no one's going to believe them. No one responds to a terrifying demon at the end of their hallway with, bro. In my opinion, if you want the most lifelike reaction to a paranormal or ghost interaction, I think the best idea would be to make your shtick slowly become more serious from a joking manner. And it really all comes down to character. If you have a very jokey character at the beginning of your film/video, then you need to keep that jokey manner, but then also make it more serious. If they stay the same the entire time, people will know that it's not real. People don't just act all silly goofy all the time, despite it being terrifying of just seeing a ghost in their house or whatever. An idea for making characters is, me personally, I suck at making characters. I really suck at character development and writing these characters. So I would recommend use your friends and ask them individually, and write down these answers. Ask them individually, what would you do in this situation if you ran into a ghost? And then you just model your characters after them. And honestly, you can just have them play these characters in your films or your videos, and it'll become more realistic, especially if you know how to direct them and lead them in the right direction. Now for this mimic section / skinwalker section, I should really be watching where I'm saying that. I'm like living in the middle of the woods right now. And just for context, if you didn't know, if you say the word skinwalker, then the myth goes that they will become attracted to you and they'll start to haunt you and terrorize you. So yeah, just a fun little tidbit. For this mimic section, it's going to be rather short, because it's essentially just including all of the stuff that we've learned previously, such as match cuts and sound design, but it's used in a different way. When it comes to video effects, I would recommend using masking and the previous transitions that we've used beforehand. Alrighty, so sound design for mimics. There's two of them that I can think of that are most effective. There's one where you can record the audio beforehand and then put it on top of your clip and you just pretend to react to this audio. Or there's a second way, which is much fancier and much cooler in my opinion, where you can take a Bluetooth speaker and you can record your sound, put it on the Bluetooth speaker somehow, or just regular speaker, put it into a different room, and then have that audio play like full blast or whatever. I think this is really cool because if you're going for one of those videos that have mimics stealing your voice, then you can be talking and then suddenly you hear your voice come out from a different room. I think that's a really cool concept. That scares a lot of people, understandably so. For the sets / story, predominantly they're normally set in the woods, and a lot of it is mimics are creatures that stalk their prey to psychologically damage them, and most modern content for mimics are literally just skinwalkers, which has been popularized by the media. But if you plan on making skinwalker content, that's awesome. Just don't do what TikTok has been doing for like the past couple of years. They've been missing out on the whole gimmick of them, and that gimmick is not knowing what is real and what isn't. Their whole mimicry is the coolest part about them, but everyone uses skinwalkers as an excuse to show animals with these weird just behaviors or something like that. I don't know, it's weird. Now on to acting. Now as for acting, it's a little bit more straightforward, and I would recommend to show the psychological effects that these mimics have on their prey. And to show, honestly, if you were to choose mimics, I would recommend doing sort of an account or a video series on TikTok if it's not banned, or YouTube especially. YouTube is a great one for ARGs and stuff like that. So I would definitely recommend doing something along those lines. So that's really all I've had to say for mimics. If you've gotten this far into the video,
I just want to say thanks for watching. I put a bit of effort into this, not too much, but a bit of effort into this, and just wanted to say thanks. And I hope you enjoyed. I hope I provided some useful tips and tricks and my knowledge of ghost content and stuff. And I actually plan on posting some probably reactions or just me debunking certain videos just for funsies, you know. But if you have any questions, please ask me in the comments. I am more than willing to respond to them. Yeah, please consider subscribing and liking the video, I guess. I don't know, I'm not really on this channel much. I am more active on my other channel, which is about drumming, because I am a drummer and I do a bit of drum stuff. Then if you're a musician nerd like me, then I'll link it in the description, my account. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope that was helpful. Yeah, I'll see you around.